Welcome to the In Cobb We Trust podcast. And today I am interviewing Royce Mann, who is running for seat 8, the at-large seat 8 in Atlanta Public Schools. And he, if elected, would be the youngest person ever elected citywide in Atlanta. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Let's get right into it. You are running for Atlanta Public Schools Board.
Yes.
Right? Why?
Yeah. I'm running first and foremost because we need a really strong first line of defense for our public schools at this moment. And for me, this is deeply personal. My guiding inspiration for most of the work I do is my late grandmother, Connie Stewart was her name. Mm-hmm. And she was one of the lead architects of the U.S. Department of Education.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Well, you buried the lead off camera there. Okay.
Yeah. And you know, I'm not asking for anyone's vote because of my family, but her work has inspired everything I do. And the guiding vision for what she spent her life working on was that education could be that great equalizer, that it could provide economic mobility for all students, for all families, especially those who've historically been marginalized. And that vision is under threat more so than it ever has been. It's a promise that we've never lived up to, but our efforts to get there are jeopardized right now because of the efforts at the federal level and the state level to not only defund our public schools, but to attack teachers for teaching the truth, to attack the rights of students, especially LGBTQIA plus students, undocumented students, students with disabilities. And so if we don't fight back at the local level, we're going to lose that fight. We're going to see public education as we know it completely ripped away from us. And I believe that with it, democracy will go next.
And it's deeply personal to you, right? You grew up in Atlanta. Mm-hmm. Where'd you grow up?
Yeah, Lake Claire, Candler Park.
Candler Park.
East side of Atlanta.
East side. And then which high school?
Yeah, Midtown, formerly Grady High School.
And you went to Emory?
Emory University, just graduated this May.
And what degree?
A degree in political science.
Of course.
A minor in history.
Wonderful. That's one of my favorite topics, economics and history. Maybe that's why we started the podcast. So young, you are a part of what I am seeing across the country of a wave of young people getting civically engaged, running for public office. What do you make of this moment?
Yeah.
Because you were referred to us by Akbar Ali, who we also interviewed, and he is young too.
Even younger than me.
He's 21. What do you make of it?
Yeah, I think you're seeing the frustration of folks my age. I think there's this misconception that young people are not interested in civics, in political life. Mm-hmm. I think the truth is that young people feel that politics isn't interested in them, isn't interested in the issues that they care about. And we're seeing young people realize that the best way to change that is running for office yourself. If you don't feel that the options you're presented with are viable, if you don't feel that any of them will truly fight for your interests, then you need to step up and say, you know, I'm gonna take this leap and seek to serve my community. Mm-hmm. And the local level is where it's at. And that's what inspires me the most is young folks, seeking to serve locally, whether it's State House, whether it's Board of Education, City Council, County Commission, recognizing that the power lies locally and that as fed up as we are with what's going on in DC, with what's going on under the Gold Dome, the best way to fight back is by taking these seats locally and using that power.
I 1000% agree with that message. I think that if you're angry about ICE disappearing people, if you're angry about the attack on free speech, if you're angry about the U.S. military being on U.S. soil, if you're angry for a litany of things that are going on right now, you have to vote, you have to get involved, right? I mean, I just don't see any other way short of, well, none of us want, which is conflict and potentially armed conflict.
Yeah. And I think, to your point, the message of just voting has fallen flat because folks are not satisfied with their options. They don't feel that they're truly voting for a message that resonates. It's always voting against something. And I think I'll sound like a broken record. There are a lot of folks demanding better from the Democratic Party, but we need a message that folks can truly unite around that's focused on affordability first and foremost, and protecting the rights of individuals, because we are seeing unprecedented attacks on civil liberties across this country, as well as a worsening of the affordability crisis that we've already been in. And if we just tell folks to vote and don't have something compelling for them to vote for, then they're not going to show up.
And you're running for city schools, right? The school board. Why?
Yeah.
What do you hope to change, right?
Yeah, a lot. So there's a lot that needs to be changed in Atlanta. You look at our literacy rates at elementary schools. 1 in 3 third graders is reading on grade level. That means 2 out of every 3 are not. You look at the disparities between subgroups in APS. White students are 60% more likely to score proficient or above on assessments across curriculum areas compared to Black students. If you look at the discipline system, Black students account for 73% of our student population, yet 95% of those given out-of-school suspensions. So the school-to-prison pipeline isn't just an abstract concept in Atlanta. It's something very real that is ripping away opportunity from students, especially young Black men. And so the status quo is not working. We know that. But how do we address that? It involves investing in the whole child, ensuring that we are supporting families through increased wraparound services, that we are eliminating barriers to transportation by making MARTA free for our high school students, that we're supporting the mental health needs of students by doubling the number of counselors in our schools, that we're expanding access to arts education and curriculum that truly prepares students to succeed in today's world, like financial literacy and life skills curriculum. So those are some of my priorities, but at the end of the day, I'm running to bring the voices of students across this district to the table. And right now on our board, it's 9 members. We have individuals who bring extensive experience in education policy. We have a current teacher on the board. We have parents on the board. We don't have anybody who's been a student in APS in the last 20 years. And
So they don't know what it's like.
They don't know what it's like. And I think there are a lot of well-meaning folks, but you need that voice in the room that can ground the discussion and tie it back to the experiences of students today.
First time running for office.
It's my second time.
Second time running for office.
I ran for Board of Education citywide in 2021.
What did you learn from that experience?
I learned a lot. I learned, first off, that this is a message that resonates. People do agree that on a Board of Education, we should have young voices. We should have voices that know what it's like to be a student. When it comes to campaigning, I learned how difficult it can be to campaign locally, especially running as a down ballot candidate in a citywide race. You're competing for attention with folks who are running top of ballot, whether it's for mayor, city council president. And so there's definitely a difficulty when it comes to getting folks to pay attention to a race like a school board race. But I think when you lead with the issues and remind folks that investing in education is about investing in our communities, is about investing in the long-term success of this city, then people realize, whether they have kids or not, that they should be paying attention.
And I want to, you mentioned something, and I really want to talk about it. Economic mobility. And when you have what you're saying, 2 out of 3 third grade students can't read on level, it's an economics issue.
It is.
Because your grandmother, I think, would agree that, and you said it, that education's a great equalizer. It gives you the opportunity to move up in your socioeconomic status, right? And I think that you can look no further. I can no look further than my own family that came from India, relatively uneducated grandfather. My parents came educated. They had children here. all of us went to college, all of us have degrees, have advanced degrees. And so it's true. It's true. When you educate someone, you can change the entire family story in one generation. That's like the beauty of America. And we're not offering that to everyone.
Yeah. And I think a lot of us have similar stories. My grandmother would talk about how her mother loved reading, even though she had never graduated high school, never went to college. And that it was because my great-grandmother instilled in my grandmother this love of reading that she ended up devoting her life to education. And it was a love that was instilled by someone who didn't have the opportunity to complete their own education. So I agree that public education needs to be that mechanism for economic mobility, because what else will be?
Right. What else do you got? And what I was a neuroscience major in undergrad. And so how I look at education is on an anatomical level, that educating is changing brain architecture. It is strengthening neuronal connections. It's creating pathways. It's allowing the brain to physically change. Even though you can't see it, it's physically changing. And really what school is just the gym for the brain. Really. And like the more you exercise it, the more you use it, the better it gets.
And we got to make sure we're exercising all the muscles. My dad is an arts educator. So creativity is crucial to my values, to what I want to see our school system promote. And I agree with you. It is about working these muscles, building up this base of skills and knowledge. But if we're not allowing students to also exercise their creative muscles, then we're not truly preparing them for this world.
And when you've been knocking on doors and getting the message out there, what's been the reception?
Yeah. It's been overall, I think, really positive in terms of, folks seeing a young person running for a seat like this. But there's a lot of dissatisfaction with current leadership, but more so with the outcomes that students are experiencing.
Is that right?
And there are a lot of families who don't feel confident sending their students to Atlanta public schools, and for many of those with means, they'll choose not to, and for many of those without the means, they have to worry every single day that their student isn't getting an adequate education. So that's what I oftentimes hear on the doors.
I mean, it's almost a story of the have and have-nots, right? Yeah. Like you have the Westminsters, and you have the Lovett, and you have Marist, and you have all these places, and they cost a lot.
They do. And my family dealt with this as well. I wasn't in public school my entire upbringing. I was homeschooled for a bit. My parents, they're both artists. My dad is an arts educator. Most of his work is in public schools, but largely because they felt that our public education system was failing to foster creativity, they decided to homeschool my brother and I. And then when I decided I wanted to go to school, they encouraged me to apply for the Paideia School. And we got like 75% financial aid. We wouldn't have been able to afford it otherwise. So I went there for a couple of years. And for me, I wanted that experience of being with my friends who I grew up around and going to our local public school. But for my parents, it was a whole nother set of considerations. And I didn't quite realize that at the time. But talking with hundreds of parents over the last few months who are having to make these same decisions, if we're not achieving that goal, then something's not working.
While we were off camera, you were telling me a little bit about your story, and I wrote one thing down as you started, it seems, with the March for Our Lives. Talk to me about that, the genesis, and I want to talk a little bit more about gun violence.
Yeah. So after the shooting at Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School, when students from Parkland, Florida, and across the country were standing up and saying that something needs to be done about this epidemic of gun violence, especially the impact that it's having on young people. Gun violence is the leading cause of death for children in the U.S. That that was an inspiration for me because I saw the power that other folks my age were claiming and realizing that they had. And I knew that we could organize locally in the same way that we were seeing folks around the country. And so I got involved with a group of young folks here in Atlanta. We organized a march that started at the Center for Civil and Human Rights. We had about 50,000 people in the
Wow.
streets. I was honored to introduce Congressman John Lewis when he spoke and march alongside him. And from there,
Wow.
we kept organizing. We were under the Gold Dome, almost every day of session for the next few years, working on legislation around safe gun storage, universal background checks, mental health support for students. And although so much of that work was unsuccessful, being in the political climate that we are in Georgia, it was energizing because it showed me that the power that young people have is real and that it's largely untapped. And lawmakers were shocked to see folks our age showing up and continuing to show up. So I think more than anything, that work showed me that even if we weren't successful at the state level around some of our goals related to gun violence prevention, that we could still maintain the power that we had found as young organizers.
And, when I was in 8th grade when Columbine happened, and to me, that really marks in my mind this beginning of this most awful fucking chapter of American history, of this epidemic of gun violence. Because then we had Aurora after that, like the movie theater shooting. I mean, Pulse, and it's innumerable. Like there's so many. But I want to know from your perspective, because you grew up in this environment. Did you go to school scared? Was it in your mind?
It was in my mind. I don't know about fear because I think you become so conditioned to the reality.
But did you have to do like active shooter drills and all that?
Yeah.
And what would people say during these things, or was it just, did it become rote at some point?
It's a great question. I think oftentimes, we would use humor to just sort of try and bring some levity to the situation. But also, what I understood, and I think a lot of young folks, regardless of their background, understand, is that they're as prevalent as the issue of gun violence in our schools is. There are communities across this country who are experiencing gun violence at much higher rates, and that for me, I always felt a profound sense of privilege that I grew up in a neighborhood where gun violence was not normalized to the extent that it is in many neighborhoods. But at the same time, I'm 23 and I've witnessed firsthand multiple shootings. Like I've been,
That's awful.
like 20, 30 feet from bullets flying. And,
Are you serious?
Yeah, and I don't even think of myself as a gun violence survivor or anything like that because it's just so normal. Like it seems like most people at this point have stories like that.
To me, when I hear that, I'm like, this is so fucked.
Yeah.
Like that we're in this environment where we've become, it's like the human brain trying to make sense of it and like trying to continue, right? Because you can't be freaked out all the time. Otherwise, like it would be miserable. Yeah. But at the same time, it's not like you can forget it either. We're reminded even today, somebody drives into a Michigan church and kills people. And I was talking with Michael Garza. To me, it's a failing. It's a failing of American society. It's a failing of American government. It's a failing of our system. And it's a failing of our citizenry to not stand up en masse. And it's not that people aren't doing something. They are. And you guys did something after Parkland, right? I remember that. I remember all those marches. What do you think could be done on a school board level to address gun violence?
I think it's about getting to the root cause of the issue. And so just like we're seeing, community violence intervention programs, these data-driven approaches that look to address conflict before it ever turns violent. I think that's the approach we need to take in our schools. Because if we are waiting until bullets start flying, you already have at least one young person's life ruined if it's a young person firing those bullets. And I don't think that's the outcome we should strive for. I think we should take a preventative approach and recognize that when we support students' mental health needs and their social and emotional needs, and that we have trained, violence interrupters in the school, individuals who know how to identify warning signs and use trauma-informed practices to sit down with students and understand what is driving students to make some of these decisions. I think that's how we address it. If we just wait until violence occurs, then we have already lost.
And I would add to that too, right? Access to firearms, safe storage that you brought up earlier.
And there's not anything we can do, policy-wise, that has much teeth, at least. But there's a student-led effort going on in APS right now of students who are collecting safe storage pledges from families who own firearms, saying that we pledge that our firearms will be stored in a locked safe out of reach of our children. So even just education.
Like the Moms Demand Action have the Be Smart program in terms of promoting safe storage. It's just, we cannot continue this way and expect different outcomes. We have to change if we want things to change. And I hope that, I don't know when, but I have 3 young boys, and I am tired of feeling scared every day I drop them off to school. And it's different for me, right? Because I work in the hospital, and there is that threat of gun violence too. We've seen that. I've talked to a nurse that was shot in the face. And young people running gives me hope for the future. That it's not like you're saying that young people are so disaffected that they've completely tuned out. I think that you're absolutely right in the sense that we haven't given them something to vote for. Yeah. The last time, I felt energy with the Kamala Harris campaign, don't get me wrong, but I don't know if you remember, like, Obama won. Right? Obama won 2008. Hope and change.
I was at Obama's first inauguration with my family.
Were you?
Yeah. It was, yeah.
Oh my God, how was that?
It was incredible. Coolest part is that Congressman Lewis brought us into his office and showed us around his entire office on a private tour because we're his constituents.
Wow. And I want to get that feeling back.
Yeah.
And I think the closest that I can get is that, I've interviewed a number of young candidates from Sam Foster, who's running for Marietta mayor, to Akbar Ali, who's running, to you. This wave gives me hope. This wave fuels the efforts that we're doing. Like, yes, we can change. I know it's bad. It's bad out there. Like, we're seeing the destruction of the Constitution by the President of the United States and his henchmen, the complete shredding of the Constitution. I mean, due process, what does that mean for people, right? Freedom of speech, what does that mean? Freedom of assembly, freedom of the press.
Mm-hmm. And the attacks on public education are central to all of these plans.
Correct.
Because
so I don't. Can you connect the dots for people? Can you they don't get? I don't think that a lot of there's so much going on. Like they don't. I don't explain it because you're absolutely right.
Yeah. Oh, it's about ensuring that we have, frankly, an uneducated populace, because an uneducated populace will be an obedient populace and will go along with the descent towards fascism that this current administration is trying to send us on. And, from taking the truth out of history curriculum, from taking civics out of schools, even the lack of financial literacy in our schools is, I believe it is, whether intentionally designed to or not, the impact that it's having is continuing to cement wealth inequality in this country.
Oh,
And
1,000%.
and so unless we address those issues, then we're not gonna have folks equipped with the knowledge or the skills to fight back against what they're trying to do. And that's they're trying to take our strength away, because our strength comes from being aware of our history as a country and knowing that that what is being done right now has been done before.
1930s Germany. Can look no further.
Yeah, it has been done before here, whether, Japanese internment camps, whether you look at the treatment of indigenous people centuries prior, or the enslavement of Black Americans, or you look at, more recent examples, things like the war on drugs, that were clear, widespread, systemic efforts to disempower entire communities. And that's what we're experiencing right now.
It's we've never met before, and what I am feeling as I'm talking to you is like, this guy knows his shit. Like, yeah, like you know your stuff. It's not like you're just fly by night candidate that's just doing it. No, you've put in the work. You've been putting in the work. You've been involved in campaigns. You're obviously well read. It helps that you have the pedigree too, but for you, what does it mean? What does it mean to fight in this way that you're fighting? Because everybody has their different roles, right? Not everyone can be the candidate, although we want more candidates. What do you say to young people about why they should care, why they should get involved, why they should run, why they should be part of your campaign, why they should go knock on doors, why they should make phone calls, why they should write a postcard? Why?
That's a great question. Because democracy should be collaborative. And right now, we don't have truly accessible leadership at the local level. And that's especially true for young people. Even leaders who may be accessible to different stakeholders will oftentimes fail to listen to the concerns of young folks. And so why folks should care about my race, why they should look at running for local office or supporting other candidates in their area, is that in whatever capacity, I want them to be a part of the policymaking process. And I think the more that we break down some of these walls between elected official and just member of the community stakeholder, and recognize that whether you're in that office or working collaboratively with whoever's in that office. We should only be driving policy that is truly shaped through that collaboration and shaped by diverse perspectives. So this is about not electing one person. It's about changing the way that we do local politics to ensure that policy isn't ever driven by just one person.
And last question here. Something I ask everyone in the hospital. And so my work in the hospital, I deal with people who are dying. They're at the end of their life and talking to their families. And I ask them what brings meaning into their life.
Mm.
And I'm curious at 23, what brings meaning into your life?
Meeting folks who I share very little in common with. It's been such a pleasure meeting folks throughout this campaign who live in the city that I grew up in but have such different experiences, and learning from them, sharing with them, what my experience has been as a young person in Atlanta. That's what gives me meaning in my life. Meaning is being able to broaden my perspective of the world by getting just a glimpse into the perspective that other folks have.
I'll say that I've been doing this a long time. That's a one-of-a-kind answer. And Royce Mann, I wish you nothing but success.
Thank you.
I think that for anybody listening, they can feel confident that should they elect you, that you will be a force for good on that school board, that you will be a force to uplift voices that have not been listened to or they've been ignored for so long, and you're doing it for the right reasons. And I'm telling you, like, it really, it gets me going. It gets me going. It gives me hope for the future that, you know what, fuck these guys. Like, we're coming. Like, the young people are coming. We're not going to stop. You're not going to stop us. And we'll just won't stop. It will never stop from here on out. Like, we've seen what dissent is of fascism does. And this is America. Like, we're American. We're not standing up for this crap anymore. And you give me hope. So thank you. Thank you for running. Thank you for stepping up. Thank you for doing the work.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me.